My story today happened a while back. Maybe it could have been like 4 years ago. 4 years ago. I told you last time that I used to own a shop. The shop belonged to a wonderful, wonderful couple whom I, even to date, considered and carried them like my own parents. Almost my parents' age mates. A wonderful man and his wife. Old, nice couple. Sometimes they would come by the shop and ask me, have you had any lunch? And they are carrying some lunch for me. That is during the months that I had been there. And it was a good relationship. Sometimes I would come to open the shop. Instead, I end up in their house. We laugh for about an hour. Then I go and open my shop. So it was that kind of relationship. Now, I don't know, things were not as well, because I had paid the first rent, the second one, the third one, I think, just about 3. And then I got stuck again. And that month, I was not able to pay. And then the following month again, I was not able to pay. Then a third month was coming. I was not still able to pay. And so I began to feel really uncomfortable, because these are people they never looked at me as, they never looked at our relationship as a business one. They looked at me as their daughter. And it was now 3 months I had not paid the rent, and I started feeling very uncomfortable. And sometimes I would make a promise like, this month I'm putting my best foot forward, I'm going to make this rent. And so on the third month, the gentleman himself came to the shop and told me that something has happened at his home country and he has to travel. And he's hoping that I could make at least just one rent. Now I needed 12,000 because I was paying 4,000 for 1 month, and this was 3 months. And so he tells me he needed to travel at the end of the month. And just like that, I don't know where I got the confidence. I told him, I'm going to pay you that 1 month. I will try my level best. No matter what happens, I will get that money. Probably in my heart, I thought, you know what, I'll just call up a friend and ask for 4K or something like that, one of my customers or something. I had that in mind, but I did not want to let this man down. God knew it in my heart. I did not want to let this couple down. And I think he probably was traveling maybe to sell something, maybe like a cow, because they had kids in secondary school and they needed to pay school fees. I think at least that I got from the wife. And so come the first week, I still had not raised 500. Second week, I had not raised 500. Third week, same thing. And now I had 1 more week to go. And I began to find it so difficult even to go to the shop, because I'm thinking, the time is coming, I'm supposed to produce 4,000 and I do not even have it. I don't even have a little bit of it. And so the morning I was supposed to go pay him actually came. I don't know if some of you have been in debt before, but that is a very bad feeling. In the morning you're waking up to go to the shop, you have given your word that you're bringing the money and you do not have it. You don't even have half of it. And so that morning I woke up very early, like about I think it could have been 5 in the morning. I was unable to sleep. And 5 o'clock, I was already up. I had this friend, she was a prayer partner. And I thought about her even before I went to bed. This time, I think I was scared to tell my husband about this situation. Some of those things which you feel you've really gotten yourself into a situation, you almost want to avoid telling it to your spouse. And I was at that point. It was so difficult for me to even begin to tell my husband, I'm supposed to be going to the shop and I'm supposed to be producing 4,000 and I don't even have anything on me. So instead of telling him, I left the house very early in the morning. Like, the way you just step out. I stepped out of our house and I went straight to my prayer partner's house. She was a single lady. She was living by herself, so I was comfortable to go that early. And when I knocked her door and she saw me, the expression on my face alone, she was able to tell straight away that there's a problem. And so she asked me, what is it? And then I had to tell her the whole story. And while I was still talking, she had already invited me and we were sitting down and she was in her living room and I was telling her the story. The minute I finished telling her the story, she looked at me and asked me, and so you think this God that we have served all these years lacks 4,000 shillings? And I looked at her, I said, you know what? That 4,000 shillings, I'm supposed to give it this morning to my landlord. I do not know what to do. She asked me the same question again, as if I had not told her anything. And so you think this God we have been serving and we serve, he lacks 4,000 shillings to give you so you can give your landlord? Wow. And then she said, almost like in a commanding voice, get up. That's what we do. We pray when we are in these situations. We pray. And so she got up and straight she shot into tongues. I never used to know how to pray in tongues those years. And she started to pray with so much power, and she was going deeper and deeper into the prayer. At first I was trying to pray like, you know what, I want to believe this story. But then at the same time, I'm really struggling in my spirit. But you know, when you have a prayer partner who is praying, somehow you get into it and you start saying, you know what, yes, my God can do this, my God can do this. I got into the prayer. The minute we were in sync and we were praying, my phone rang. And when my phone rang, she stopped immediately, and I also stopped. And she says, pick that phone. I said, in the middle of the prayer, before I even said prayer, she goes, pick the phone. So I took the phone and I answered it. And on the other side was a lady by the name Faith. What a wonderful person to call you, Faith. She called me and she asked me, how are you? It's been a while and I know we haven't spoken for years, but I need to speak to you today in town. I asked her, what is it about? She said, you haven't made me an outfit, but I have seen your work. I have met people you have made outfits for, but I have seen your work and I want to speak to you. How did you even get my number? We used to go to the same church a long time ago, and I didn't even know whether she had my number. She said, you know what? I need you to come to town if it's possible. It could have been around 7:30. We had been praying for a while because I went to that house early in the morning. And so when she asked me to go to town, I asked her, what is it about? Could you tell me before I commit myself to come? I will come, but could you tell me what we are talking about here? Then she says she had been made in charge of a wedding some time back, and she was made in charge of the outfits, and she had bridesmaids and the children to dress. And she had come into town like 2 months ago or something, found a tailor or a designer and decided to give him the job. And now it's been 2 months, the wedding is in a month's time. She has come to check the progress and nothing has been done. Totally nothing. So I asked her, exactly what do you mean? She says, just what I told you. So, do you have the measurements? Do you have what's happening? And she told me, I have with me 50,000. I have with me measurements of everyone. I have taken from the tailor, and I need you to come. What I'll do is I'll give you the measurements, and I will give you the 50,000. I will leave it to you to select a nice fabric. The theme of the wedding, she told me, was maroon and something else. She told me anything around maroon. I have 14 ladies, and I have it could have been 10 kids, boys and girls, 10 boys and 10 girls. It was a big job. Because at the end of it, she was supposed to give, she was going to add another 75,000. Let me shock you. When I was answering that phone call, I thought I was in another world. I'm begging God. I felt like I was begging God for 4,000, and I was feeling like I'm begging and he might not come through. You know those dubious feelings you get that you're not supposed to be getting, because at that time I really think when you yield yourself to the enemy, to give him just a little foothold, he gets in and he makes sure that you're going to doubt, that you're going. And thank God for prayer partners, because she was praying in the spirit, and I'm on this call, and now she's listening with me, and she's just smiling because she can hear the conversation. To cut the long story short, I ended up in town in just another under an hour. I met Faith, and for real, she gave me the measurements for each and every one, and she gave me 50,000, and she was in a hurry to travel back up country. And she said, I'm going to tell them that the work is going on. That's all I'm going to tell them. Just put your best foot forward. So I got into the public transport back straight, and guess where I was headed? I was headed to my landlord's house. I came, I just didn't give him rent for 1 month, but I gave him 12,000 shillings. I decided I will pay first, and then I will now embark on going to find fabric to start on this work, which I did in good time, and they were able to pay the balance. That is the God we serve. He is a miracle working God. I don't know what situation you might be in. Some needs are really pressing. But let me tell you, we serve a living God, a God who is so ready to rescue his children, a God who is aware that you are about to call and he answers. A God who calls him Jehovah, he calls himself Jehovah Jireh, our all-time provider. A God of grace, a God of love, a God who is ever present in any situation you are in. He says, I'm with you even in the storm. Do not fear your storms. Look for God instead, because he's right there. He is right there. That is the story for today, and I hope someone is encouraged. I hope someone who was giving up will stop giving up instead and look up to our Father. Are you born again? You are not alone. You are not an orphan. God is your Father, and he is the richest. He says, a cattle on 1,000 hills belong to him. Silver and gold are his. I always tell my friends, even if God was to give everyone on this earth $1 million, his pocket would not dent. That is how much he is rich. We would never dent his pocket. He owns everything. Let's learn to trust God. Let's learn to trust him, and I look forward to seeing you in another 2 weeks. Again, my name is Raila Dem. This is goodbye for now. God bless you. Thank you.